I'm going to go, pow, I'm going to, whatever, I'm going to exact revenge. And then Jesus challenges us, and this is where I think is really cool and really challenging to me personally, is he says, don't even get angry and do not exact revenge. This is kingdom living. That got me good. So when I think of that person and the relationships that are blown up in my life because of this person, I gotta be like, okay, I'm angry with them. How do I let my anger go? Hello, everybody, and welcome today to this episode of the Revived Podcast. I am just getting my levels adjusted here. Well, it has been quite the week. Celebrate. The Eagles have beat the Chiefs. They didn't only beat the Chiefs, but they slaughtered them. It wasn't even a game. I think the final score, them even being 22 points, was generous. I don't think they should have even had more than 6. And for all of us out there, it was beautiful. This was cool. I didn't realize the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they beat the Patriots. They have this way, I think, the Eagles, of ending regimes. So I'm interested to see what Kansas City tries to come back with next year. But if you're like me, that was great. If you're a Chiefs fan and you listen to this, my condolences, my empathies, and enjoy the last 5 years because you guys went to the Super Bowl like every year. So don't give me any crap. Oh, I'm so sad, and the ref should have thrown more flags, and whoop, whoop, whoop. It was a great game for most of America. Wow, what a great way to start this episode out. So I know it's been a long week already, and you guys just needed to remember that the Eagles were number 1. Well, all is what good here in the Revived world. Let's give you guys some updates of everything that's been happening. So last week, I was able to meet with a book designer, just designer. So I'm going through several cover designs, and I've been texting a few of you some initial mock-ups. But now that I've worked with this designer, we're going to get a couple more refined items. And if you want to be a part of voting for those, go to our website, revivebrand.com/connect, fill out that form, because I'll be sending out emails, and you guys can actually get sneak peeks on the potential cover designs. So that's super awesome. And then you guys would just email me back, let me know which ones you like. And please, this is the one time that's like, hey, give me all the negative feedback you want, because I'll read it. Unlike the YouTube comments or Instagram comments. So I think it's mostly on YouTube. People just say the funniest things. But I don't read those. I read one the other day. And I was like, wow, I finally got hate mail. So that was kind of fun. I guess if someone disagrees with you, must be talking about something, right? I don't know. Because if everyone agreed with you, then how challenging and convicting could it really be? So we got that going on. I'm excited to see some of these new mock-ups and what they are like and what we want to settle on. The book itself has been going through formatting and revisions. That has also been exciting because now I have this PDF that I get to scroll through, and it's like, wow, it's going to be like a 5x8. It's like 150 something pages. So it feels like a solid book. Excuse me. And it's super exciting to, hopefully I'm not too close to my mic. And it's super exciting to have. Oh, I hope I'm not too close. And it's super exciting to be able to read through that, and wow, it's like really starting to feel like a book, and it's super exciting. If you're watching this today, complete side note, because I'm just checking my audio levels and stuff all the way at the side here, I'm wearing a hat. And I'm not trying to be like the hippie, trendy guy who's like wearing hats during his podcast, but I have hat hair, and it's just like very flat and very unexciting. So, pardon the hat. I'm not trying to be super cool, but I do. I see why people do it, because it adds like a nice little dimension to the video. So if you're watching this, you want to go check it out and let me know. Please don't ever wear a hat again, or if you want to just let me hear all about it, because there's one of you that listens. It gives me solid feedback, and I would love to hear what you have to say about the hat. But if you just listen to it during your runs, then you don't get to see the hat. All right. So, working through the formatting, I think there's one more round of revisions that I'll be doing before it's like, cool, this is what it's going to be officially submitted, and this will be what it will look like when it comes out, just all the formatting and everything. So that's really cool. That's really exciting. I forgot to bring a water down with me to my podcast station, so pardon me, I'm going to probably cough a lot this episode. What else we got for you? So that's going on. We're working through the merch. I do have Reviving Fatherhood merch out there. That's super exciting. Working on getting it on like Google. It's on our website and connected to all the different places. But that's a great way to go ahead and support us, because all the sales from that just go right back into the business. And so it goes all into supporting the book and our efforts of just expanding and growing. So go ahead and check that out, revivebrand.com/store. Man, those are kind of the three big things: 2 book updates, 1 store update. Trying to think if there's any other related updates for this. I don't think so. One of the things that's really cool that's been happening is our YouTube and our Threads account has been steadily growing, and the interests of the peoples are being felt, and it's really cool and it's really encouraging. So if people are sharing these videos, if people are sharing this podcast episode or posts we do, I want to just say thank you. It's been awesome to kind of see the engagement growing and really just spreading the word about who Jesus is. And then especially in this new season with dads and this book coming out, strengthening and encouraging dads on all levels about doing life with Jesus as a dad, and really just being like a fresh breath of wind. I don't even know if that's a thing, fresh breath of wind. But you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to just be fresh air and also challenging. I had a conversation the other day with somebody, and it was really good, and just kind of walked away from the conversation of this book is going to be pretty impactful, and I'm really excited for that. I don't want to share all the details because I didn't ask this friend permission to share the conversation. But we'll just say the insights from the book is practical, and they're applicable, and they're challenging, and they're motivating, and they're life-changing. Not because I wrote them, but because it's all about what Jesus says in his word. Oh, excuse me. Do I have my water? I do not. Dang it. Well, that's what I get for just shooting the breeze. Well, anywho, today I just want to talk about a kind of a one-off topic, not a one-off topic, but we've been working through the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. We already covered Luke's account of it and how he kind of gives us this basis for discipleship of loving your enemies, forgiving, being generous, not judging people. And that was really good. And then we jumped over to Matthew's account, where we're kind of getting more like in-depth spiritual guidance in a sense. So what does it look like to be a disciple to follow Jesus? And as we've been working through this, we kind of covered the beginning stages of it. And I'm actually jumping around a little bit as we do this. Like I talked about the temptations back in the chapter 4, which was even before the Sermon on the Mount. And today we're actually going to go back to the Sermon on the Mount, and it's in 5, but it's only 2 sections of 5. Because I only teach as I kind of become aware of things, and that's how I like to do this. I hope that's okay with you. I don't like to talk about things I don't really know. And also, interesting thing for you, I actually record episodes, but if I'm not feeling confident in what I shared, especially when it comes biblically, I actually don't release the episode. So if I'm ever missing weeks, it's because I shot a couple episodes or something, but I was like, no, we're not releasing that, because there's one piece I still need to figure out first. I don't know how many of you are like me and you get up at like 4:30 in the morning, and if you do, you get to like see the sun coming up on the sunrise about 2 hours later. And it's beautiful here in Colorado, all the colors of the sky that just lights up. It's completely gorgeous, and just to see the sun just peek over the horizon. But the reason I say that is because sometimes when you're reading the Bible, and I'm really going through this right now with the Sermon on the Mount, is I feel like I'm seeing what Jesus is teaching just peeking up over the horizon. It's like I'm getting a glimpse of it. I can tell what it is, but I don't have all the details to be like, there it is. There's the sun. Sun's up. You know, it's like I know the sun's coming up. I can see it, but gotta get there. If you're watching my hand, sorry, I'm like waving right in front of the camera. Hello. So that's kind of where we're at. And I felt the sun come up a little bit more when it came to the 2 topics that Jesus talks about. He talks about anger and revenge. In this whole section, after he talks about teaching about the law, he goes anger, adultery, divorce, vows, revenge, and then he ends it all with loving your enemies. And that's the part we all love. And so let me go ahead and just read these two little sections to you, and then I'll kind of break it down. I think all of these are related. And Jesus, because I've noticed, as we pointed out in the last, I don't know, last episode, 2 episodes ago, that Jesus does everything, and it's very intentional. Actually, this wasn't even a few episodes ago. This was just a aha moment the other day. Posted on social media. You can go read it. I was listening to a sermon by a guy named Robert Madu. Madu? I don't know. Anyway, he's at a pastor of a church in Dallas, I think. And he was completely talking about something else, but then he just happened to mention this one quick little story about like women at the well meeting Jesus, and he was like the perfect guy for her, something like that. And it continues on with the sermon. Did like a half a sentence on this. But I heard that and I was like, wait a second, that's very interesting to me. So I went and looked at the woman of the well story. Is it in Matthew? Let's see here. I think it's in John, honestly. Yeah, it's in John. Let's open. And in John, if you're not familiar with this story is where Jesus met a Samaritan woman at the well. Jews weren't supposed to intermix with Samaritans at all, so that was a big deal. And it was in the middle of the day, so the lady was clearly just like kind of ostracized by everybody, and so kind of just be by herself. But then she has this conversation with Jesus. Yep, here we go, John 4. And it was actually, we do have an episode on John 4, so go back and find it. It's the Book of John series. Highly recommend to go check it out. But I don't talk about this in there. I should re-record the episode, and we should go through John again or finish, because it's fascinating. But this is how I believe Jesus doesn't ever mince his words or his actions in what he does. Check this out. So they're all talking, and then Jesus says, go get your husband. And then she says, I don't have a husband, the woman replied. And then Jesus says, you're right. You don't. For you have had 5 husbands, and you aren't even married to the man you're with now. That's 6. So you certainly spoke the truth. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but number 7 is kind of that number of completion or wholeness in like the Jewish history and culture. And so Jesus is talking to this lady who's been through 5 husbands and currently with the 6th dude who's just not the thing. And he's the 7th man in her life. And he's the one that changes her life. And so there's like a significance here that Jesus like brings her to like her wholeness and completeness. Everything she was looking for, she's able to find in Jesus, become whole, become complete. And I think that's just fascinating, because I started thinking about like, how does this apply to my life? And it really settled on Jesus is always watching. Jesus is always with you. Jesus is always aware. And then sometimes we don't think that, and we don't think he's engaged or following, because you can imagine this lady's life, and she's been through 5 husbands, and the guy she's with now is her 6th. Like, it's been a long time. There's been a lot of time passing. And Jesus knows this, because Jesus knows everybody, because he's God. But then at one point, so this is kind of his start to his ministry. At one point, he decides he's going to, okay, now I'm going to go talk to her. And I think that's really cool, because Jesus moves when it's time to move. And a lot of us, we can get caught up in thinking Jesus has to move now. My situation, I guarantee this lady woke up many days saying, my situation needs to change. Probably prayed a lot. I don't know what she did, but she probably thought, my situation has to change. And why isn't it changing? I've been praying. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. She's probably at the point, even maybe she gave up. And she's like, I just give up. Nothing's ever going to change. And then Jesus shows up at the time that he's supposed to show up. He shows up as number 7 in her life, the 7th man in her life, to bring her to wholeness, to completion. And it changes her life so much. She goes back into the town, changes the whole life of the town. Now, think about your life. Is there something that you're just hoping and praying would change? You're just questioning, God, are you in this? Are you not in this? What does this look like? What's going on? And I just want to encourage you with this. He is watching, he is listening, and he knows. And he might be on the move already to you, in the sense of Jesus was one place and he had to walk to the Samaritan woman. And I wonder if sometimes we as humans just think God just is supposed to poof appear here. And at the same time, like he just walks. I think that's really something cool, is like he could just be walking towards you right now and you have no idea. And then something's gonna happen and you're gonna be like, Jesus just walked up to me and we just had an encounter together. Ah, there he is. So don't give up. Don't give up hope. Don't run away. Don't get discouraged, but keep your eyes open for every encounter that you have, whether that's with somebody, through something. Like, keep your eyes out. If you're going through something, which we're all going through something, don't give up hope that Jesus isn't on the way, because he walks, as we see in that story with the woman on the well. And I just wanted to share that with you all. I thought it was really fascinating. It was really encouraging. There's a little social media post about it if you just want to go save that and kind of use it for like a Bible study later. I don't know. But so that's where I believe Jesus does everything very intentionally. Everything he says and does is so profound. Like it's so profound that he met her when he would be guy number 7. So it spoke volumes about who he was. Everything, all of his miracles, I'm just like, wow. I want to study all your miracles so much more, because you show us who you are and that you are the true Messiah in everything you do. Whether you're fulfilling prophecies or you're fulfilling scriptures, or you're just like representations of different like numbers or wholeness or completenesses. And I think it's really cool. And I don't know if you ever thought about Jesus in that way when you read your Bible. So next time you read, pay close attention to not only what he says, but what he does and how he appears and how he comes and how he goes. It's all fascinating. But back to the Sermon on the Mount. We've got like 5 minutes to talk to you about this, so that's good. He talked about anger, adultery, divorce, vows, revenge, and loving your enemies. And I think these are all together for a specific reason. And one thing I just want to hone on today was the anger and the revenge and the loving your enemies. So he talks about how he's not going to abolish the law, but he's going to fulfill it. And then he dives right into the material. And he says this: "You have heard it that our ancestors were told, you must not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you are in danger of being brought before the court. If you curse someone, you are in danger of the fire of hell. So if you're presenting a sacrifice at the altar of the temple and you suddenly remember that somebody has something against you, leave your sacrifice there on the altar, go and be reconciled to that person, then come and offer your sacrifice to God." And then he has one more paragraph about settling your differences before court. And then revenge, he says, "You have heard the law say that the punishment must match the injury, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say, do not resist an evil person. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, offer the other cheek also. If you are sued in court and your shirt is taken off of you, give your coat too. If a soldier demands that you carry his gear for a mile, carry it 2 miles. Give to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow." I want to look deeper into verses 39 through 41, like turning cheeks, being sued in court, and carrying stuff for the extra mile. All those are very significant. The extra mile one, I think most of us are familiar with that. But the thing I want to settle on is then he ends this section here with teaching about loving your enemies. And then he goes into teaching about giving to the needy, prayer and fasting, kind of switching into like, here's things you can do, like what giving looks like, what prayer looks like, what fasting looks like. And then where do you put your hope, and money and possessions, and then the judgment of others, and then what does effective prayer like? And then he follows it up with kind of summing everything up with the golden rule. And then he says, okay, now I spent all this time talking. Everyone's going to have to choose. If you're going to choose to live this way, it's a narrow road. It's going to be hard. Not many are going to find it. And you can tell who's found it by the fruit that they bear as a tree and its fruit. And then at the end, it kind of just this scary little piece that says, not everyone who says, God, come into my heart, or Lord, Lord, is actually my disciple, because they actually have to be walking it out. And then at the very end, he says, now, if anyone hears these words, puts them into practice, you're digging a deep, solid foundation. So as he does that, it's almost like this anger and revenge is playing into, these are ways that you can actually show love to your enemies. And it's like turning the cheek, walking an extra mile, and being sued in court are like 3 almost like sub examples of the revenge piece of what you can do. But just check this out real quick. When you have that person in your life, say it's someone that either hurt you, hurt your family, hurt someone connected to you, whether it's physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, they have now placed at some point their pedestal of enemy, but you might not even call them enemy. You just say like, this person's in my life, but they really ruined a lot. Okay? I don't like them. We could just say that. I don't like them. That's the position of enemy, really. And Jesus challenges us to like, hey, like loving your enemies, what does this look like? He follows up about don't even be angry with them and don't look to go exacting revenge. Now that is really challenging if you're a follower of Jesus. Because when you think of this person in your life that's, say, like blowing up your family or something, let's use that for an example. You look at them and you're just like, I am angry with you. Because you did this, my life is now like this. You know, or maybe it was that friendship you had. Let's just say relationships. Some relationship blew up because of this person. Okay? And now you think of that person, you're like, things could have been so good if you didn't do this. I am angry with you. You stupid person. I don't swear on this podcast, but you know what I mean? Like, you say things. And then you're like, you know what? Depending on what the offense is, like, I'm going to get revenge. I'm going to go, pow. I'm going to, whatever. I'm going to exact revenge. And then Jesus challenges us, and this is where I think is really cool and really challenging to me personally, is he says, don't even get angry and do not exact revenge. This is kingdom living. That got me good. So when I think of that person and the relationships that are blown up in my life because of this person, I got to be like, okay, I'm angry with them. How do I let my anger go? And then Jesus it's interesting. He says, you have to like settle the difference. So when you're angry with somebody, you have to go settle it. That doesn't sound very fun, does it? But I think there's something powerful there. And there's been 2 instances in my life where I got angry with people. I was a butthole, and then I got angry with them, but it was all my fault. But either way, I went and settled the differences. And that fixed the relationships. I'm not saying it's going to do it for yours, but these relationships are still in my life, and I'm like, those things that happened are kind of bygones now. Like, I don't view these people as enemies anymore, or like, I'm not angry with them. Let's put it that way. I was angry with them. And then I took the first step to go reconcile it. Like, dude, before you get to court, actually, that last part, he says, we're on the way to court with your adversary. Settle your differences. Otherwise, you'll get thrown into prison and have to pay back every last penny. It's like, go settle your differences. Otherwise, it's going to be with you like for forever. And I think that is like something to really think about. Like, if you can go settle your difference, I think that helps the anger. But Jesus, and I think, because Jesus says, don't be angry, but he wouldn't tell us not to be angry if he didn't give us some kind of direction and guidance. So that's why I think it's really important when you read, when he says, don't be angry, don't just curse this person, don't say nothing. And then he says 2 paragraphs of leaving sacrifices, go reconciling with the brother. Like, anger and reconciliation, there's something there. Are there relationships in your life that you're refusing to reconcile, but you're finding yourself consistently angry? That's on you. If you're not going to go reconcile something and you're constantly angry with someone, you can't blame the other person. You have to go reconcile. That's what Jesus is showing us here in this section. And then revenge, when you want to go exact revenge on that person, they hurt me, so I'm going to go hurt you. You hurt someone close to me, so I'm going to go hurt someone close to you. Jesus says you don't do that either. And then he gives us 3 examples. And we can go look into that a little bit more context with like the Jewish history of walking an extra mile, turning the other cheek, and what exactly those mean and those represent. Because that's going to give you the tools of, okay, he says don't exact revenge, but then he gives you another option. He gives you some guidance. So as you work through the Sermon on the Mount, and as you're reading it on your own, which I hope you are, look at what he says, like don't be angry, don't exact revenge, and then look at the next piece of it. Okay, he says don't do these things. It's not just because they're rules, but he says don't do these, but instead, here, do this. Isn't that great? Wouldn't it be great if we like grew up, because like I'm a parent, so I don't do this perfectly at all to my kids whatsoever. I do it as best I can, but sometimes I just don't have words. I'd be like, hey, kids, don't do this. And I don't give them the other option of like, this is what you should be doing instead. You know, it's easy to be like, hey, stop lying. So you should tell the truth. But Jesus even does better than that. He says like, stop lying or stop being angry and instead go pursue reconciliation. Like if you have something with this guy and you have something with that, he kind of gives you even an example. He tells us what to do and then he gives us an example with the answer. And so go sit in that, meditate on it, pray, and just learn. Like, hey, God, like, let's just pray right now, like as you end this episode. Like, hey God, I got anger towards somebody and I want to exact revenge towards somebody. As we were reading through your Sermon on the Mount here, you're saying don't be angry, look at reconciliation. You're saying don't exact revenge, instead do these other things. Can you please help me this week as I wrestle through this and reveal to me in my heart what I need to have understanding for, and just speak to me about this in whatever way. Amen. A simple prayer like that goes a long way. Just work on it throughout the week, and God will definitely, he's done it in my life many times. That's why I can say it to you. Like, God will definitely meet you and show you and reveal to you what he wants you to hear and just to take you to that next step. So I know we kind of covered a lot today. I hope you join us for this whole time, because it's kind of a big, long, full circle, but everything is just going, like, there's just so much here. You could talk for forever. But thanks for joining us today. Go head over to revivebrand.com/store to buy and check out our cool apparel, thus the sweatshirt. Oh, maybe I should do some cool hats so I can just wear all Revive stuff. I do have some hats. I don't have these specific Carhartt hats. And go sign up for our dad book coming out. Just go check out our website. There's so much information there. Go check our social medias. Share everywhere. The following is growing. Jesus is like being talked about, and I love that, because we are here to guide you in relationship to Jesus, or discipleship to Jesus. It starts through reclaiming your life as in your identity, reclaiming your identity as a son or daughter of God, and then redefining your culture. That means living differently. Being a disciple requires to live different in your everyday life. So have a great week. I look forward to talking to you next time. And stay strong, stay healthy, don't get sick, stay warm, stay cold, whatever you need. Cheers.